Indeed, biodiversity loss and global warming are closely linked, according to the 44-page summary for policymakers, which distills a 1,800-page UN assessment of scientific literature on the state of nature. The way we produce our food and energy is undermining the regulating services that we get from nature, he said, adding that only transformative change can stem the damage. Deforestation and agriculture, including livestock production, account for about a quarter of greenhouse gas emissions, and have wreaked havoc on natural ecosystems as well. Mass extinction event, the pace of loss is already tens to hundreds of times higher than it has been, on average, over the last 10 million years, it notes. 500,000 to 1 million species are projected to be threatened with extinction, many within decades. Many experts think a so-called mass extinction event, only the sixth in the last 500 million years, is already underway. The most recent saw the end of the Cretaceous period some 66 million years ago, when a 10-kilometer-wide asteroid strike wiped out most life forms. Scientists estimate that Earth is today home to some 8 million distinct species, a majority of them insects. A quarter of catalogued animal and plant species are already being crowded, eaten, or poisoned out of existence. The drop in sheer numbers is even more dramatic, with wild mammal biomass, their collective weight, down by 82%. Humans and livestock account for more than 95% of mammal biomass. Population growth. If we are going to have a sustainable planet that provides services to communities around the world, we need to change this trajectory in the next 10 years, just as we need to do that with climate, noted WWF Chief Scientist Rebecca Shaw, formerly a member of the UN scientific bodies for both climate and biodiversity. The direct causes of species loss, in order of importance, are shrinking habitat and land use change, hunting for food or illicit trade in body parts, climate change, pollution, and alien species such as rats, mosquitoes, and snakes that hitch rides on ships or planes, the report finds. There are also two big indirect drivers of biodiversity loss and climate change, the number of people in the world and their growing ability to consume, said Watson. Once seen as primarily a future threat to animal and plant life, the disruptive impact of global warming has accelerated. Shifts in the distribution of species, for example, will likely double if average temperature go up a notch from 1.5 degrees Celsius, 2.7 Fahrenheit, to 2°C. So far, the global thermometer has risen 1°C compared with mid-19th century levels. Global inequity. Other findings in the report include, 3/4 of land surfaces, 40% of the marine environment, and 50% of inland waterways across the globe have been severely altered. Many of the areas where nature's contribution to human well-being will be most severely compromised are home to indigenous peoples and the world's poorest communities that are also vulnerable to climate change. More than 2 billion people rely on wood fuel for energy, 4 billion rely on natural medicines, and more than 75% of global food crops require animal pollination. Nearly half of land and marine ecosystems have been profoundly compromised by human interference in the last 50 years. Subsidies to fisheries, industrial agriculture, livestock raising, forestry, mining, and the production of biofuel or fossil fuel energy encourage waste, inefficiency, and overconsumption. The report cautioned against climate change solutions that may inadvertently harm nature. But the land needed to grow all those biofuel crops may wind up cutting into food production, the expansion of protected areas or reforestation efforts.